Good morning. I went down to the deli and got us 2 bacon, egg, and cheeses, yours with avocado, mine with chipotle mayo, and a frappe for you as well. That's because you haven't ever seen me drunk, because I don't get drunk unless I'm alone in the apartment for the night and have nowhere to be the next morning. Carmen just kind of loosened me up and said that she didn't feel comfortable drinking on her own, fearing that she would make a fool of herself, which, relatable, but I said I would do it with her because she really did sound like she wanted to let go and have a good time. Yeah, once I get going, I let everything flow, for better or for worse. There's a piece of good news and bad news, though. The good news solely revolves around me, and that is that I don't get hangovers. I don't know what it is, but I always wake up feeling like nothing has happened to me, and I go about my day without any repercussions from the night before. The bad news is that after I hit a certain level of intoxication, I forget everything that happens after that. Everything. Except for last night. It's the first time I've ever remembered something after being balls deep, and it was only one sentence, and I know that I said it to you, and I am terrified. I said, and I quote, "Sure, we can talk about it in the morning." And if that isn't the most ominous thing that I could have possibly remembered, I don't know what is. I know that means we had an important conversation that I wanted to continue when I was sober, but I have no damn idea what that conversation was about, and it has been tearing me up inside for the hour that I've been up. I left to get the food for us because I was too scared to come back here and figure out what happened last night. I literally paced back and forth in front of the door for a good 5 minutes before committing to actually going in. So, I have to ask the question that I've been dreading since I woke up, and that question is, what did I say to you last night? Oh. Cool. So, worst case scenario. Awesome. It is the worst case scenario because one night of being careless cost me a 2-year secret that I have effectively hid from someone in order to preserve the relationship that I hold closest to me. And it also means that in order to explain why I feel the way that I do about you, I have to touch on a subject that is very hard for me to talk about and one that I haven't really talked to anyone about other than you and my therapist. The fact that you call my therapist by her first name after seeing one of my medical documents is a little bit weird, but that's not going to sidetrack me from doing this. I put my mind on track to talk about it, and I can't stop now, and you deserve to know why I feel the way I do about you. In advance, if I get choked up and kind of stutter with my flow and stuff, I'm sorry. On the day of the crash, I just sat there on the stoop of my old house, watching everything happen. They never show crashes in films that happen in neighborhoods. It's always on a highway or in the middle of a street or something. I had to call the police and just exist in the moment while I watched the lifeless corpses of my best friends slumped over with shards of glass in their head on the street I used to play football with my friends on, and there was nothing that I could do about it but wait and cry. I've never told anyone this, but I actually went up to them and touched both of their pulses to see if they were still alive. And that was the last time that I ever touched either of them. I remember the feeling of blood covering their skin. I remember every person who came onto the scene asking me the same 5 questions over and over again, and me just monotonously responding to all of them. And I remember that in that moment, sitting there, all I wanted to do was call you and have you tell me that everything was going to be okay. As fucked up as it sounds, I never knew how important you were to me until that very moment, and the realization hit me with everything it had. The way you were there for me that week, helping me pick out the caskets, find the cemetery, and most importantly, letting me cry on your shoulder whenever someone said their names. It was more than I could have ever asked for or imagined. I saw myself immediately start looking at you in a different light. And before you say what you're about to say, I already have a response to it, so please don't. Okay? Thank you. Sorry. It was not a situation of me latching onto you because of the trauma. It was just like a filter had been taken off my viewpoint of our relationship. I always go into friendships with women with the express intention of being friends with them because it's a friendship. I've seen the way my friends have taken advantage of girls by getting close with them under the guise of platonic companionship, only to lead to heartbreak. So I made a vow to make sure that never happened to the people that I care about at my expense. And I was doing perfectly with all of that until I couldn't anymore. Do you know that nobody else even knew how to approach me? And I got a couple of sorry for your loss texts, and then I didn't hear from them until I had processed everything and it was safe for them to approach me without bringing it up. Maddie saw me at the park one day and we made eye contact and he walked the other way. Deliberately. That was the person who had the gall to call himself my best friend, and I haven't heard from him since. I started reevaluating my relationships with everyone, and in doing so, I realized that you were everything that I had ever wanted in a person. I took a while to think it over, and I came to the understanding that I was in really, really, really deep. And I was willing to live in that hole forever because I couldn't imagine you ever being interested in me after seeing me in such a vulnerable state. I know that's a lot to take in, but I wanted to get it all out on the table before anything else. This is something that has been weighing on my shoulders for 2 years, and it was important that you understand all of the context. I don't even know how much of that I said yesterday, and I don't know how brazenly I may have said it, but I wanted to get out a coherent message to you. You mean the world to me, and you deserve the entire truth as well. So, there it is. You don't have to answer immediately, but I hope you know that any response you have is acceptable and valid, and I will respect whatever decision you make. Yeah, I can come there, but fair warning, my entire body is shaking and I can do nothing in my power to stop it. Hi. Do I have to, though? Okay, my eyes are closed. I don't know if I'm gonna cry or not, but I really hope I don't. Sure, if you can think of anything that could be done to avoid making me cry, I would love to hear it. Yeah, I remember me sitting on the couch and saying that to you. Really? You mean to tell me that if my brain would have randomly remembered a minute later, I would have remembered you telling me that you like me too, and this whole thing could have been avoided? Well, that's pretty rough. No, I know it's a good thing that we had this conversation and I told you everything. That doesn't make it any less embarrassing, though. It's all good. I just kind of wish that I knew from the beginning that you were also interested, because it would have prevented my heartbeat from pumping a mile a minute, and maybe I would have been able to compose myself a little bit better. Well, if I'm gonna be honest with you, I think another kiss would make it a little bit better. Yeah, that did the trick all right. Do you want to maybe take our food down to the pond and watch the sun rise? I couldn't imagine being anywhere else with anyone else. Yeah, to the future we go.